Okay? It's a sunrise industry. There are a lot of opportunities out there, okay? But maybe we have to start with the basic necessities and the right, and that would make it more sustainable. Maybe very long term, but we're not here for the short term. We're not getting the short gains.
So you're in it for the long haul because you have contact centers in both Cebu and in Metro Manila.
And we expect to, go to the countryside. Any opportunity, like maybe Davao, but if you hadn't mentioned Davao. Again, it's do you bring an economic progress first, then you get peace, like in Mindanao, or is it peace first and economic progress? It's hand in hand. Okay? And we've seen case studies where someone who takes the risk, even in these areas, to go in there and give a rebel an honest day's work and an honest day's wage, it's actually the quickest path to peace. Okay, so if we go to Mindanao, we go to the ARMM, the Muslim Mindanao, who knows?
Hopefully, we won't just have contact centers in Cagayan de Oro or Davao, but we could also have in Basilan or Sulu.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. In fact,
hopefully this Bangsamoro peace agreement with the government materializes and we could see more growth in the Mindanao area.
Right. So a more holistic view, I think, to what you took. We know we're contributing to the economy. We know that we're part of the foundation of that 2050 dream of being the 16th largest economy, our industry. But I think there's also a challenge to be able to look more long term. Of course, the products are there, the services are there. What kind of the demand is there? But let's look at the supply. Make it more sustainable.
So maybe we could ask our friends here from KPMG and from Gardner, the sentiments right now of Ricky, Mr. Norman, and Marifel. We're talking about supply and demand. Is that a major issue that you see for the Philippine contact center industry?
Yeah, definitely. I think the supply-demand is an issue, and I think, as was mentioned, in terms of longer-term player and having a sustainable growth, whether it's for the economy or for the contact center or the BPO industry as such. So I think since we are discussing more on the opportunities and challenges, I think if we just look beyond what the respected co-speakers have mentioned so far, which are probably more country-specific issues. Quickly, I would like to mention that for longer-term growth of this industry, I think 2-3 things we need to keep in mind. One is, what are the global issues, what are the global challenges, global opportunities which could impact this industry here. So while we are discussing about a contact center in Cebu or Manila or opening new centers, an impact could be of something that's happening in a larger economy like in the US or Western Europe, which could happen. I'll give you quickly one example on how these things can get linked. After the global issues comes the regional issues, which could be in the Southeast Asian region, which would be things like political stability or lack of it, which could be infrastructure deficit, could be lack of healthcare, education, so on and so forth, and how that again impacts the industry. Third could be more of country-specific or even organization-specific issues, which needs to be kind of addressed. So I'll just get back to the first point, and this also linked to what was presented in the previous session. I think if you look at global issues, some of the things which are happening, aging of population, not relevant for Philippines or India for that matter, but some of the demand generating countries have those issues. Secondly, any change in the, say for instance, in the US economy has an impact straight away because US generates almost 70% of the demand for this outsourcing industry. Now let me give one example. Earlier this year, we all know that due to various reasons to kind of restore and revive the US economy, there was this budget sequestration, which ladies and gentlemen, meant that there were severe austerity measures which were announced by the government, which initially was to start from January 1st, then it was postponed to March 1st, 2013, which meant over an 8-year period about $1 trillion cut in US spending. And this fiscal year was about 85 billion cut, of which a major part would come from government and defense spending. Now if we link back to the presentation made that defense, government are the two major sectors for outsourcing, followed by telecom, BFSI, consumer markets, so on and so forth. That cut in 85 billion this year and 1 trillion over the next 8 years will have impact on Philippines, India, whether it's Vietnam or whichever the supply countries. So those are the issues which, if my submission to the senior management who are running operations here on the dais and amongst the friends there would be to track these issues. And there could be other issues in the region which could be political, the lack of stability there, lack of infrastructure, which would also again impact the quality and growth on a sustainable basis. That's what I would think. And then there are company-specific issues and Philippines-oriented issues. I have my own comments on what Professor had mentioned, and I think you pinpointed what about inclusiveness. With unemployment 20%, 40% working in informal sectors, good to say about 7 to 8% growth for the next 10 years. How about making it inclusive? So those are issues which are more country-specific. So in summary, global issues, the impact of those on countries' outsourcing industry, regional issues, Southeast Asian issues, and then country-specific issues and organization-specific issues. If these are tackled, then I think there is a clearer path to sustainable growth is what we are saying.
So there are a lot of risks on different levels that the contact industry in the Philippines indeed has to take notice of. TJ, you ready to respond to that?
Yeah, I just want to add the number of other issues that need to be addressed by the industry. For example, around middle management, the capacity around middle management, and the level of skills around middle management. Remember, you're building from the ground up, right? So you've got a very strong base, and there's a lot of talent leakage. Talent that's gone to places like Singapore, talent that's moved to the US, elsewhere, especially in the middle management. So I think
talent leakage like us, we're in Singapore.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So I think what's important is as you build on the industry, you also need to not only focus on the agent population and getting that level of quality of service and so on. I think you also need to put in place programs as an industry body, along with the government, to build capability and capacity in middle management to help drive the industry further. And with AEC coming in, ASEAN 2015 and Economic Community, the Philippines, and then this comes back to the point that was raised by a gentleman from Nigeria earlier, I think the Philippines can actually then look to export capabilities to the ASEAN region to build capacity across ASEAN as well. So I think there is a huge opportunity. And the second thing I want to touch on is now with the geopolitical situation right now in North Asia, where you see the Japanese, Koreans, and the Chinese, we're starting to see investment come in from Japanese companies, a lot of interest. In fact, from the IT services industry perspective itself, you can see a number of joint ventures and acquisitions happening. Fujitsu's been doing that, NEC, NTT, and so on, where they've set up joint ventures across the region as well. As these industries come in, manufacturing and so on, what you're going to see is you're going to see a domestic sector emerging as well from manufacturing and then the banking sector. So there will be a pull factor from the domestic other vertical sectors as well for talent. So that's going to have a significant impact. So I think on one hand, this can go up, but the focus will also be on productivity. How you drive productivity and maintain that level of middle management. So these are the two factors that I also wanted to add.
All right, thank you so much, DJ. Let's bring in now H. Karthik. We haven't heard from him yet. He's the Vice President for Research at the Everest Group. So what do you make of what we've just discussed now about global issues, regional issues, and its impact on the contact center sector?
So let me say something different from what everybody else has already said. So I think I'd like to offer two perspectives here. First, a data point. In terms of English voice BPO, Philippines is the #1 global destination today. Philippines enjoys a market share of 35% of all the work that's done in offshore or nearshore countries. And over the last 3-4 years, it has overtaken India as the #1 destination in voice BPO. So